Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new life, a series of talks with the Rav Laitman. Hello, Rav Laitman. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nitzamazos. Hello. We've been talking about health, and the topic that we chose to learn about today from the Rav Laitman is pregnancy and birth. Is such a great topic with so many different aspects, so we'll try to open it up step by step. We welcome you to join us to listen from the heart, from the mind, and try and learn from our lives in general, and to try and develop our awareness towards this new life that we can build and open for ourselves through these talks with the Rav Laitman. So Nitza, pregnancy and birth, come open the talk. So first of all, the whole topic of getting pregnant and giving birth is something that's very exciting for all of us. We see it as a miracle that happens in our body. The whole issue of life, the creation of life is something so special to us, and just like in pregnancy and in birth, it's all about processes, it's all about stages, and we would like together with you step by step to walk through all of these steps from this first earliest step, even before the pregnancy, to the birth itself, to understand from your perception of reality how you see this whole issue. So the first is a very wide question about the formation of life itself. What can you tell us about this very special process of the creation of life? It's a very wide topic. It includes the entire world. First of all, it's really a miracle, a wonder that there is development at all, that something comes out of something else. In the still life, we understand that it happens when you insert energy and then matter changes and so on. And then there is then changes happen in the still life or matter. But when this happens in the higher levels of vegetative or animal or human levels, then it's a wonder. How does the vegetable or plant come out of the still life, out of the rock? It's a whole new level of existence that, except for its existence, there is life to it, meaning a personal development and a general development, let's say environmental development, not society yet, but it's an environment. And here already we see that nature has a plan of some sort, and there is a power or force that develops things, because there is no free choice yet in the plant life. It all happens through instincts, a law that operates in all the different types of plants and aims them and forces them to develop in a certain way. And here also it's very interesting because there is a combination between the inanimate, vegetative, and animal life, because without the inanimate level, there's no ground from which the plants can grow. And without the animals, the plants cannot connect between them. And so it turns out here that all of the levels of life, inanimate, vegetative, and animal levels, depend on one another. And the most developed one depends on the previous levels. That's on the one hand. And on the other hand, we see how much even the inanimate level, as if it's not that dependent on its environment, then the vegetative level is very dependent on the environment. Without the sun, without the air, without the moon, without so many conditions from the environment, it wouldn't be possible for plants to grow and for more plants to be born out of it in the next generations and so on. And it all depends on the conditions within which it lives. It's in such interdependency with its environment. it develops in different stages according to the seasons, completely dependent on the vegetative level and the inanimate level. It's very gentle, it's very fragile. So we see that the development of the inanimate, vegetative, and animal levels, which is what we see in the world, we separate the humans from this, but actually we all live on the animal level. So it turns out that we're all in one system, in interdependence. And the advancement in the development of life and all of its stages depends, except for upon humans, on the seasons of the year and environmental conditions, and a person's development, man's development, which is above the other levels of nature. He's created for himself a kind of freedom, a relative freedom from environmental conditions, and so he can live and exist while he's somewhat disconnected from the harsh conditions of nature. And what's interesting is that actually it is given to the plants and animals the process of development of life. Because actually a plant gives birth to plants, and animals give birth to living animals, to living bodies. So it turns out that there is a kind of part in them from the force of the Creator, the force that creates, that is at the foundation of the universe, of nature. And part of this general force that runs nature and leads it in a certain direction, because we see, according to our history, that there is a gradual development according to cause and effect to further and further development to a certain purpose that we don't know yet. For now, we're not talking about it yet. And in this development, there are types that are that disappear, and some that are reborn and develop once again. And sometimes certain creatures come to this world that are more developed, they are new, and so on. So the animal level, inside this animal level, new life is developed, and inside this animal there's a mechanism which we can learn from about nature's approach to life. What does nature want when it develops life? If we learn, if we delve into, if we go deeper into this mechanism, the absorption of the sperm, and the way it's received in the womb, and the development of the fetus inside the womb, the way the body accepts it and develops it, the mother and the fetus, the birth itself, and afterwards the years of breastfeeding and treating the baby and educating the child, how he becomes grown up himself to continue life himself. What we need to see here, if we want to learn the plan of creation, the power of creation, this is the place or topic from which we can actually learn what it is that nature wants out of all that it's created. We have nowhere else to learn it from without all kinds of fantasies or building some theories of all kinds. It's here that we can see that really inside the creatures of the vegetative and animal levels, there is the force that gives birth, that develops, and maybe we could also research what it's doing it for, not just the process itself that they're going through, and the attitude of the creation force, the creator within it, but also what is the purpose for which we are developing. Because still what we see is, according to the different stages of pregnancy and birth and education or development, the years of breastfeeding and education, we see that there's a very precise, gradual process in order to put this new creature into life in the right place. And by seeing this process, maybe we'll be able to learn what is the end of the path, what is the purpose from the stages of development, to somehow see the desired result, which may be hidden from us for now, but it's possible for us to discover it by seeing this process, this topic or subject of birth. And as you said, it's a true wonder, a great wonder. And it's no wonder that we don't really understand much about this wonder until this day, despite our development and technology and science, and we still see there are a lot of problems with this. We're not yet certain that we truly understand what is going on. First of all, because our body is entirely a will to receive, and its internal quality and main quality is to protect oneself, to protect myself, to take care of oneself, to fulfill oneself, to fill oneself through the environment in every way possible. We see it in plants and in animals. The most important thing is to receive from the environment what's good for me, and to take from myself, out of myself, whatever is bad for me. And that actually is the essence of life. The more I identify beneficial things in the environment, substances, beneficial influences, and as much as I can identify in myself bad things, and as much as I can receive the good things and emit the bad things, that is the essence of life. This speaks of the connection of a person with the environment, in the inanimate form and the vegetative form, meaning that I'm feeding off of the environment. And the animal level is when I'm already connecting to the environment in a way that I have some mutual connection to it, like animals do. Because in animals, what we see is you need two species in two different bodies, separate bodies that need to connect between them, and between them, new life can be formed. And the human level is even more, actually. There I need to connect to the environment and to receive from the environment. Not just instinctive love from the mother to her son, let's say, or the connection between the group of animals, of the family, let's say, the clan or pack. But here what we say is that in order to develop correctly, a human also needs to be nourished as a man from the environment, to receive from the environment spiritual nourishment or food, feelings, impressions, science, different behaviors, and to give back as well afterwards, to influence or bestow to the society and participate in it, and so on. And in our development, we see how much, the more a creature is developed, the more he is tied to the environment, on higher and higher levels, and even hidden levels that we don't quite know yet what exactly happens there. But we begin to understand, say, people who go out to space, how much they change, how much it influences them. They don't really talk about it so much, but I once did some research when I was younger, and so it was very interesting to see changes that happen in a person who is disconnected from human society, and even for a short time, how much it changes him, how much it puts him in a completely different way towards regular life, how much it's hard for him to go back and integrate himself in our society just like we are. This disconnection is very essential. And so we need to treat this new life that is created in a very special way, because we really don't have anywhere to learn about the essence of life out of anything but this, because we see that all of our nature is integral. It's completely closed and interconnected and interdependent. We're talking about nature. So if we are talking about the development of the fetus, we need to think that its development, just like nature and what it compels us to do, it needs to be complete towards the environment, meaning that the environment needs this fetus, and the fetus then needs and receives what it needs from the environment. And this depends very much upon the connection between the partners, his parents, and the way the environment, the environment, its attitude towards the creation of new life. To this day, I don't understand why we don't invest in the preparation of men and women to be in the correct and good relationship, and to create this cell from which life is developed. If we learn about the womb, it's like the ark, where the fetus is kept the safest and receives everything it needs. Very dedicated care. And usually nature knows how to give it everything it needs and take out everything it doesn't, to protect it and keep it in the most ideal way. And we see that nature created this condition so that the beginning of new life can be inside the mother and not outside the mother. So then the protection, the care, the development is in such special and careful care, such good conditions, such a protected situation, that the fetus must be inside the body of the mother. And out of that we can learn a little bit about the type of environment that a person needs to have in accordance to that. Circles around the mother. Say a mother who is now developing this fetus, the environment, in the ideal sense, needs to be, in the corrected sense, needs to be a good environment in circles. The closer circles of the husband and the family and those who support and help, and so on and so on. These are necessary things that must be there. And we see it also in the ancient cultures that a woman who was pregnant, she was treated in a very special way, and she's helped with everything she needs. In our times, it's already, we can't take an example from what's happening today. Let's say, put it that way. So, from the fetus developing, not just the mother and the environment, the way they need to be focused on this new life, on the part of the fetus, we just need to learn what conditions it needs to develop, what exactly we need to do with plants and animals. It's natural, and with us we can influence it both in a good and bad way. And humans can learn these things, study them, in order to understand how we can take an example from the animal level to the human level. Because actually, just like we develop inside the mother as the fetus does, and afterwards are born and develop in life and develop outside the mother, outside her body, we need to understand that all of the phases of man, of a person, as he develops in life, when needs to grow, to be big, to be an adult, and to contribute to society and to the environment that he needs to build and how the environment needs to treat him. We can learn about all these stages because they are more and more artificial. They are given to us as to our choice. We need to choose. So we need to take an example from those phases during pregnancy and to continue it through development, but with the same approach, the same direction. Also to the times in which the baby is breastfeeding, to childhood and to adulthood, even to the age of 20. And even onwards, even though we're already adults, we still need to take an example from that womb, just in a wider sense, and to try and build that same relationship, the same attitude between us, just like there was there. Because it's just like a mother who treats her fetus, and through that the fetus is alive with security and the care, the mutual connection. Of course, it's not quite that way, because when we develop, the development adds the distance from one another, the egoistic desire that grows, but still we need to try to keep that, even though we have the ego between people, and not the same closeness that a mother and child or fetus even have between them, we still need to take an example from this situation, because the attitude needs to be in the same attitude, truly the same attitude. The ideal society needs to be as a womb towards each and every one of her participants, of her citizens, and they themselves need to stabilize this womb around them and to live within it as one body of the fetus. Inside this mechanism of forces, of powers, of connections, this network of relationships, which is similar to the womb of a mother towards them. This is what we need to understand, that nature demands from us in this example of the development on the animal level, to bring this development, of course with a certain upgrade, to the human level, to the level of our society, our life in human society, our social existence. And in this development, we see the exact example of what we need to do. Just like we have the development according to days and weeks, that when a person develops, he goes through all kinds of changes on the path that are really alike to the animal forms until he receives human form. And the more he connects to the womb and the womb operates on him with all of his absorption of life, just like we see now from researches, how he absorbs from his mother and the environment, everything that happens, how much she's moody and she'll feel pressures, whether we listen to music or have all kinds of environmental conditions. I'm not even talking about food and rest and everything she needs in the animalistic way, but in a cultural, spiritual, and human sense. We see how much that influences the fetus, the person. We need to take that into consideration, and the food needs to include within it all of the influences. And the act of the birth itself, how much in order to give birth to push the baby into life, then there are opposing forces at work here. It's a wonder to see how much within this womb, inside this sack of muscles, forces develop, forces that are opposed to the fetus, and they push him out instead of keeping him inside, and he has to disconnect, detach himself from that place that he was constantly nourished by. And in this tragic way, forcefully, he needs to leave and open this new, to start a new life. And in this new life, he's treated as person to person, as humans treat another human. And so the animal development, the animal body development inside another animal body has ended, and it all depends on the relationships and attitude towards him on the human level. How much society is evolved, and there are special relations, and he begins to get to know them in a very, I'd say, very sharp, very sharp way that organizes his life, where his entire life depends on it, and he already enters the company of humans, even though there's his mother and father and relatives around him, but still he's already beginning to be very dependent on society immediately. And here there is, inside it, he's connected to it through the mother, through the whole system of breastfeeding and feeding, and until the age of 2 years of 2, this is called that he's still in a stage that is called breastfeeding, because the mother's body is constantly accompanying him and looking after him, not constantly. And the fact that this is not happening in our society today is really a problem, something that we need to change. And I hope that people will change it. We must firstly prepare the father and the mother for this process of the pregnancy, the connection between them, the sexual connection, what for they're doing it. We need to give the mother all of the necessary knowledge for the treatment, not of the baby on the animal level, which it needs as an animal body, but how to immediately begin to treat him in the influence of his mood and the way she talks to him and everything that he absorbs. that even though it seems that he's completely insensitive to what's happening around him, he's all ears and all eyes, and all of his senses are especially operating in a very sharp way. And later, when his hearing sense and sight and sense and smell open up, it's less and less. He's less and less able to absorb from the environment than when, in the few hours and months and weeks, the first weeks of life. It's that much. It's to that extent, because then he doesn't know where he is. It's as if he's completely in this question mark in absorption, the opposite of what we think. Because we operate according to our senses, and our senses, they especially block us and close us off in this limited structure of this life, of this world. Therefore, we need to explain to parents that we live in the integral world, and that the entire universe actually is here around us and influencing all of us. And in our limited attitude, we need to we're not so aware of it. So I think there's a lot to add here to young couples as a preparation for birth and for the education of the baby. And so we also need to treat human society in this way. When we are born each time to this new situation, this new state, and actually, as of today, we've been through internal stages of development inside the womb. We've developed, just like the inanimate, vegetative, and animals levels, we've gone through these stages just like the fetus in the waters of the womb of his mother. Even though this development wasn't so peaceful and quiet and calm, with such nice stages of development, but it was a development that was instinctive. That we didn't have our own control of our development, because we only developed through one force: the desire to receive, to live, to survive, to develop, to absorb more, everything to go forward and to receive it more and more and more. And this is just like the stage of nursing or breastfeeding, nursing that happens through the umbilical cord within the womb. And when the fetus leaves the womb, then he already begins to have a time of discernment, of scrutiny, where he can determine, do I want to eat or don't I want to eat? Is it tasty or not? Am I interested or not interested in something? Supposedly, gradually he begins this development, and we need to give him a lot of extra treatments. The mother takes upon herself all of those actions which he cannot perform upon himself: to get food, to prepare it properly, to treat his body. He's not able to do anything. He needs her. He's dependent on her. So it's the same. We need to see that it's the same in our social life. Now that we are on the verge of birth, when birth into the new world, into this global world, an integral world, into a new stage that has not been before, we now need to receive an additional power or force, strength. If before we only developed through our own strength, and nature forced us to develop in a direct way. Now we are beginning, out of a complete lack of choice, to gradually understand, to slowly understand that we are receiving a new force, except for the force of reception, the force of bestowal. Why? Because this new society that we're now discovering, human society, it is beginning to discover itself as a closed environment, as a closed society, an integral society that is dependent, interdependent, and this dependency can only be mutual by us developing this connection of give and take. It's not that I only want to take. I need to understand that the conditions of my life also depend on my giving, just like they depend on me receiving, and it's even so that I need to give before I can receive, because if I don't give, I won't receive. And here, what we see is that we are beginning to develop this new awareness. It's beginning to develop within us an awareness to this new force, to the relations in this new environment, in the new society, this mutuality, this arvut, mutual guarantee, that before we weren't aware of it. And what can we do? So first of all, we discover ourselves to be just like that fetus that is being born, let's say, which needs treatment. Who needs treatment? So first of all, we need by ourselves to develop the environment. So our entire emphasis, our dependency, our good future is according to how much we'll be able to develop the environment, this mother-like attitude. It's not the internal womb anymore, it's something wider. It's a circle that is wider, a wider sphere. The way the environment will take care of us. So then our future depends only upon the building of this environment, for it to be warm and caring, to give us security, confidence, to keep us safe, to teach us. In short, just like that mother towards the baby that is born. We have no choice to do things differently here, but the opposite. We need to learn from nature, and in this way to continue human development. And in accordance to that, we will see, just like you said at first, that birth is just like a miracle, that we don't know exactly how it will happen and in what way, and we have a lot of problems and accidents with it. If we organize the general environment in such a way that everything will come into harmony, then of course we won't feel any problems. Also with the physical act of birth, because it all depends on one another. All of these systems are tied together. If it's all integral, then all of the levels of the inanimate, vegetative, animal, and human levels, they are all tied together. We see how the ecology is one system, one nature, and how they influence one another. And then we understand that we are in such problems to give birth, to have children, to raise children, to see them succeed, and even in general, being in relationships as a couple, in a family, to somehow be okay. Not just to say that we can't say that the modern family is so and so. We need to learn it from the animal level and take example from there to the human level to see what a family needs to be like. Because the family exists to begin with in order to continue the generation. And so it must give the correct environment, the nest, the ark, for the development of the children. And if, as we see now, we have single-parent families or all kinds of such changes, we see that we firstly need to change and correct these things. So again, no distortion can be corrected unless we do so through the environment that will organize it and give birth to it in the new, corrected way. So then we cannot force people to get married, to do anything differently, let's say to organize the family as a womb, a wider womb than the natural womb in a mother that will care for the children. We need to understand that here there needs to be social consent that's very wide and an approach towards it from everyone in the entire society. And if we learn it, we learn this from the thing, to learn one thing from another thing, then we will succeed. And if not, nature will force us to do it through sufferings until we understand that there is no choice and we have to learn and change our lives. And this is how we need to advance. But again, everything we want to exist properly, we can't treat anything. We see children who develop in the wrong way because their environment is all wrong. And their environment is all wrong because the wider environment is not right. And it's not taking care of giving the right treatment to children. So first of all, we need to take care of the womb, the environment, and the person is a result of the environment. And therefore, if we continue in this way, then always what we'll find is that we need to take care of something more developed, wider, and then always inside it there will be changes, good changes of their own. Either it's changing the person through a group of people, through the environment, or changing the entire world with all the families. And we need to see nature as the general womb. And for us in human society to also reach these scopes and correct the relationships between us so that we'll include within us our entire relation attitude towards the general nature around us with all the levels of the inanimate, vegetative, and animal levels and human society and the way we approach our entire life. If we begin to take care of that, all of us together, to take care of all of us that are inside this, like as a fetus, inside of this general concern that we have, which is the womb, then we will reach the full correction, which is actually called the end of correction. So we need to learn from the way the fetus treats, the womb treats the fetus. We need to learn from that how we need to gradually build. Also, there is a lot to learn here from all the different stages of the pregnancy, the 9 months of pregnancy, how we need to build gradually a wider and wider environment that cares more and more and stabilizes correctly each and every person and the environment itself, which is stabilized correctly through our general concern. This is how, from the animal level, we rise to the human level. I don't see truly, if we talk globally, I don't see any option to reach corrections, not in the family life, not in the preparation of couples, not in the process of pregnancy and nursing or breastfeeding and onwards, unless we take care of the wider environment each time. Therefore, to give some tips to do this or that in the family, it's possible. Every person can learn from it, at least inside his own family, what he should do. But all in all, this distortion will not be corrected until we do not reach this global correction of this matter. Now, I think that if we taught people Even a little, not like we see in movies where they show you the fetus inside the womb, how it develops. I went through this in at university when I studied biocybernetics. I studied biologies and not medicine, but the human body. Anatomy, biology, all those things. So they show you these movies, these films, and what do people learn from that? We need to show them the spiritual factor inside it, the attitude of nature to the development of life, the attitude of the mother when nature forces this body that's called the mother to care for the creation of new life. This is what the approach of the entire humanity needs to be, like a mother to what's developing within its human society. And if we prepared educational films in this way, I think we would advance a little bit from that with our general approach to life. Well, so that's as a kind of introduction, right? Yeah, an opening. So please, let's continue. Okay, so let's go according to the order of things. Before the pregnancy, there's the first stage where a man and woman have a desire to continue the generation. We've gone out of balance in such a way where we don't know how people lived before when they lived closer to nature. This is interesting. Let's say those problems that men and women have, even in order to get pregnant and have babies, they're told that in ancient days, even women had periods at the same time, according to the moon exactly. Everybody had it at the same time, and everybody had the same stages exactly, like the embryo. Not that we have to go to the doctor for him to check us and give us an ultrasound and all the 1,001 tests. What for? The corrected body knows exactly whether it's been, if the embryo is already been absorbed or not, if the pregnancy has begun or not, because all the systems change from end to end. The corrected body feels from week to week what's happening within it because it's concerned. Because our ego has grown above the animal level to the human level, and we haven't corrected it to this height of the human in the good, positive approach to everybody else. Love thy friend as thyself. Then it turns out that at this height we stop feeling ourselves. We lack also the attitude towards the embryo, towards the fetus, and so we don't feel what's happening to us. Doctor, am I pregnant or not? How is such a thing possible? Or what month am I in? Even before, when am I ovulating? There is a calculator for that. And how to give birth or not, all these things. It's not according to our correct nature. And so as far as we advance, the more we advance, if we'll be late in the correction of our ego, we'll see more and more problems with this specifically. And just like we see also in the family and in general, with single parent families, and so also with the whole issue of birth. And the correction for this is only in the correction of the relations between us, by which we correct the desire that is called man, which grows within us above the animal level, the desire on the animal level, and by that we'll begin to feel, as we correct it, just like we'll begin to feel others outside of us, we'll also begin to feel ourselves and what's happening within us the approach to life that is developing out of us, we'll begin to feel it openly. It will be revealed to us. What's the connection? What is the connection between us beginning to developing an approach, a good approach towards others, to the ability, our ability to develop sensitivity to the processes happening inside our body, like for example, pregnancy? If we remained in the animal level, then we would feel everything just like animals do. According to the seasons, we would mate, we would bring babies, we would create our offsprings, and everything would be fine. Because aside from the animal level, we have this desire growing within us, which is egoistic, to use the environment and not to be in harmony with it, just like animals are in harmony, well, the forced harmony, instinctive, natural harmony with all of the environment, even though they eat each other. That's according to the commands of nature. It's not their choice. We are the opposite. We, according to our choice, use our ego and develop the cruel attitude towards one another, and that disconnects us from the feeling towards others, of others. It covers all of my natural feelings. I don't feel the tsunami like animals do when it's coming close. Why? I don't feel that in a couple days a volcano will erupt next to me. Why not? With a tsunami, for example, that happens in Asia, no animal was harmed. They all escaped to the mountains. All the cats, all the dogs, they all escaped. No dog remained next to its owner. They all escaped. It's the power, the will to survive that operated within them. And humans, they didn't feel a thing. Even when they saw the waves coming closer, they didn't understand what it is. Look at how much we've become disconnected from nature with our ego, that we're so out of touch with nature. We've gone up from the animal level to the human level in the bad force, not in the good force. Because instead of connecting to you and to the environment, to the still vegetative and animal life, and to the speaking or human level, because I need to be integrally connected to everyone, mutually connected. Instead of that, I'm not connected. I'm building walls. I don't want to receive anything from anyone. I don't want to be in connection with them. I only want to absorb from them. I create a filter around me where I only want to absorb to myself, and outside I don't want to give a thing. And then it happens that I lose feelings, sensations that are fundamental for life in nature. I need to build 1,000 machines in order to understand what's happening in the environment. Is it healthy or unhealthy? Is it good or bad? Or maybe it's so bad that soon I'll have this and that. I don't feel it, but animals do. But that's nature. You said we're even losing feeling of what's happening inside our bodies. You gave an example that a woman gets pregnant. She doesn't feel that she's pregnant. She doesn't know what month or week she's in. Right, because it's the same. Just like I feel a repulsion from external life. I don't want to take them into consideration. It also makes it difficult. How will I put it? I feel also that my attitude towards the life inside me is more vague. It's more foggy, not clearly. She needs to go through 1,001 tests. What tests? And also the way we connect to one another. Why do I need to connect to this woman and not that woman? In nature, everything is fine. They go to approach one another and breathe, and they know that it's a right fit. And that's it. Or maximum, they taste the urine, and he has a complete entire laboratory that he already knows that she's ovulating and she's right for him and she wants to give babies, and that's it. Everything's fine. There's no problem. And look at what we are doing. It's not because we're more developed, that we're developed in the bad sense, not in the good sense. because otherwise I'd also feel the person not just according to whether their body is right for me, but is their internality right for me? Which is it exactly the completion that I need to receive also on the human level? And because we don't have this completion for each other, we can't live, we can't exist. Because according to my body, it's comfortable for me to be next to the woman. Because she takes care of hers and I take care of mine, and we complete each other and we can get along well. So why don't we? Because in the human level, that is grown in us, we're both egoistic and neither can connect to the other. And therefore, all of these problems, which they're already at a high degree, and this influences all the lower levels, as is written. In a person who corrects himself on the human level, then also the inanimate, vegetative, and animal levels join this level, the human level, and the external nature. So do you think that a person today, a man or woman, no matter, can renew this ability to sense his own body, just as you said he did before, to sense what is happening inside his body? First of all, we know that there are special techniques. These are techniques. It's not a correction. But there are such techniques that do enable people to feel it. I'm not talking about, Rav says extrasensory abilities. So you said that the connection between people causes us to lose our sensitivities to others and also to inside our bodies. You think it's possible for us to improve that? If I improve my approach towards Lisa, by that I'll increase my sensitivities to identify what's happening inside my body. Will I feel my body? You will feel her in all the degrees of inanimate, vegetative, animal, and human levels. Oren's asking, what is that? Her function, her everything in her. You see from the one end of the world to the other. You see entire nature as the mutual mechanism, integral mechanism, as one with everything that's happening in it on all levels. Of course, this is what we need to reach. This is called the nature, the godly wisdom, and God in Gematria is nature, and this is what a man needs to reach. The more we correct our relationships and begin to feel ourselves as interconnected, we will also begin to enter such feelings and sensations of what is happening on the animal, vegetative, and inanimate levels. I won't need a doctor. The doctor is a problem. It's because we are malfunctioned. I won't need all kinds of science and technologies to know. Science will be inside me. I won't need all kinds of instruments. I won't need chemistry, biology. I won't need anything. I will develop such senses which enable me to connect to nature naturally. I see and feel what's happening 1,000 kilometers from here, light years from here, and what's happening within the heart of a person, and what is happening in the vegetative and animal world. So much so that I'm inside it in one mechanism, so much so that I'm running all of nature. Every movement of some lion and deer and fish and bird is connected to me. Through nature, if we balance ourselves with nature, it will all be in harmony, in one harmony. We will feel each and every detail. Now we don't feel a thing. We are completely obtuse, closed off. We don't have the senses for it. These are the senses above the animal level. All of our senses, sight, hearing, taste, and smell, and feeling, they belong to the animal body. And here we need to have different new senses that belong to the human level. Where is the human level within us? It doesn't even exist. And then we reach a state in which all of nature, all of it, entirely, I will feel it as mine. I'm in adhesion with it. This is called reaching adhesion with God, with the Creator. It is a knowingness, a complete knowing and feeling of all the details, and I don't feel confused by it to any extent and any difficulty at all, because it's all me. Our time is ended for this talk, our first talk about pregnancy and birth. And just like we can see, this topic opens up for us a great horizon. So thank you, Rav Leitman. We will continue. Do not worry. We will continue with this topic of pregnancy and birth. It was fascinating. Thank you, Nitsa. Stay with us to the next talk, pregnancy and birth. How can we be healthier? How can we be born to a new life? Until next time, all the best and goodbye.